Hey guys, welcome back to Ollie Talks Airsoft. Today's my second update video and I'm going to be talking about the two MWS rifles that I took out on Sunday and a few of the good things and a few of the bad things, a few of the things I changed on the fly, and yeah, okay, let's get started. So the first gun that I've got to talk about here is my carbine 13-inch Geissele setup with the Triticon scope. So unfortunately, this gun wasn't really performing, and I think I know why. And it's one of the things that I think a lot of people may have thought there was a problem with their gun. Actually, I think it was a problem with the ammo that I was using. So this gun appeared to really not enjoy shooting nuprol razor bio BBs at all. So I tried to put some .28s and some .3s, and it was having major inconsistencies with the flight of the BBs. Or I think other people might have been okay with it, but for me it was like major inconsistencies. So I basically decided that I wasn't gonna run this. But rather than assuming that there's anything wrong with the gun, because actually last time I took this out, it was excellent. It shot, dead straight. There was, no real deviations from the flight path of the BB. So it was really confusing as to why it wasn't suddenly putting out the performance that I was expecting, especially seeing as no other changes have been made internally, and it's not been dropped, or even if it had it, it should still be fine. Wasn't really sure entirely what was going on, but figured actually it's probably the BBs that I was using, because one of my other guns, and in my third update video I'm going to be talking about the sub guns that I was using, and one of the submachine guns that I was using just also didn't like the ammo. One of them ate it, the other one didn't. And that's how it goes, guys. You've got to sometimes realise that actually your gun might be perfectly fine, and sometimes it's like another factor. So yeah, I think this gun just really does not like those nuprol razor bio BBs, and as a result it just wasn't performing on the day. So unfortunately it had to just stay there. However, it did mean that my main gun for the day was my my Mk18 build. So anyone that's seen the channel before will no doubt have seen this gun. It features quite a lot. It is pretty much my go-to primary, to be perfectly honest. It always comes under the dual limit. It always shoots straight and it always shoots far. So at the start of the day, I had gone out, and it's the setup that I had the 3x magnifier on the back. Where I was playing in the woodland, actually, the points that I was shooting from, I don't know if anyone can notice, but the camera has actually moved quite a lot. The stand that I've got is broken, so it's swinging over. Sorry. Yeah, so at the start of the day, I ran a couple of mags through this just to check it. As far as I was aware, the hop up should have been set. It was having a few sort of issues with hopping and things like that, but I basically just shot through the issues. So yeah, again, it wasn't shooting quite as consistently as it would with the plastic ammo that I'm used to, because I'm very familiar with how this gun shoots. I know how far it shoots. I know that as soon as I took it on the range to zero the sight, as soon as I zeroed that sight, hitting a man-sized target at 60 meters with every shot was just not a problem. There was very light wind on the day as well. But so yeah, this actually performed excellently, but because of all the positions, the firing positions that I found myself in on the day, it was actually quite inconvenient to be using the magnifier. And so rather than risking it getting shot, I decided to just remove it. And there are other times when I've used the magnifier and I found it to be really useful, but actually, yeah, my firing it was partly to do with the firing positions that I chose in the first couple of games. So I tended to be shooting from around bushes rather than shooting from structures and things like that. And that's where really a magnifier kind of is a bit better, because ultimately you're zooming in and you're looking through, and you just, if there's literally branches and stuff coming across in front of your gun right here, then yeah, it just magnifies that, and it's much easier just to knock it out of the way and just to look through. But actually I decided that for the lengths of engagements that I was hitting in game, I think I was shooting, the longest shot I took was probably about 70 metres. So it wasn't like massively long engagements. And there were a few close calls, but nothing, you know, nothing too up close and personal, to be honest. Which is one of the reasons, again, so after I've never been to this site before. So after the first couple of games, I kind of established what the average engagement distances for me were going to be. Sort of got to have a little look around, saw there were a few structures, but actually the chance of like real close quarters was quite slim. So what I elected to do was to remove the piece of Lexan that was covering the front of my EOTech, to basically just give me that full clear sight picture that I ultimately paid for. So yeah, it came off, but it did ultimately change my play style throughout the day from that point. So because I realised that I had suddenly I'd chosen to expose the front of my EOTech to potentially being shot out, which is not a good thing to do, obviously. I would never have it naked like this in CQB, because I think the chance of it being shot would be too high. But actually, for the sort of engagements that I was getting into, I realised that actually what I really wanted was that increased optical clarity, and I really wasn't getting that with the piece of Lexan in front of it. So I think it's down here somewhere, kind of invisible because it's a piece of plastic. Oh, here it is. So yeah, I just had this, and it was originally designed for another one, but you can see even when I kind of put it over my face, it will slightly distort anything that's there. So you know what, I thought, let's whip it off. But as I said, it changed my play style. It meant that I had to do things slightly differently. So it did mean that there was a couple of points where we had to like enter structures, and it meant that I actually slung my rifle on my back and took my pistol out. And that was really the only change that I'd kind of made. So I took the magnifier off because it makes the gun a little bit lighter as well, and anytime I wasn't really using it. So I figured, why have it on the gun? If you're not going to use it, just don't have it on the gun. And then yeah, took that piece of Lexan off the front, which ultimately meant that I was going to my pistol a bit more, although I didn't actually fire a shot in anger with the pistol. So it was all fine in the end, and I'm pleased to say obviously nothing happened to this. But it is the first time that I'd had a chance to take this green EOTech out in the woods and try it out properly, and wow, it is seriously impressive. So previously I've used red EOTechs, like genuine red EOTechs, and even sat at home, you can point them out, you can aim, hold it, look out the window, focus on your target, and it really crisps up. With the green, I was doing the same thing, but it was still looking like a bit fuzzy, and I just couldn't get over it. I couldn't get over that like extra bit of fuzziness that I was getting. Actually in the field where you're focused, and one of the reasons I love Airsoft is because when I'm playing, I can't think about anything else. I'm very like immersed and very engaged in what I'm doing. And it means that, yeah, when I'm looking down my sights and trying to acquire my target, that is what I'm looking at. I'm looking directly at my target. And this cleaned right up. No issue. I was a little bit worried. I was a bit like, oh God, how's this going to be? Is it actually going to still remain that like even fuzzier than a red EOTech? No, it didn't. It cleaned up just like the red one did, and it was so fast to acquire the targets. I ended up turning the settings down, so it was on one of the dimmest settings, and I was still picking it up like lightning fast, and it was absolutely pinpoint accurate. It was fantastic. So yeah, really pleased with this. Again, once again, it managed to perform. But even though the setup internally with this gun and the other MWSs, like, they're really similar, but this one could just handle that ammo slightly better than that one. This one, yeah, it could handle that bio. And sometimes you kind of get that, and you just have to know. You just have to understand that sometimes the big fundamental change isn't anything that's wrong with your gun. It's just to do with the ammo that you've put in it. And I personally wouldn't recommend nuprol Razor BBs, and I wouldn't recommend nuprol Razor bio BBs, like, even more. So there you go. MWS though, this one anyway, managed to eat them and spit them out at a good distance pretty accurately. I mean, I did quite a lot of like one shots at 60 meters where you're trying to essentially like thread a shot through like a couple of windows, you know, between some trees and stuff like that. And you know, I only want to take one shot. I just want to put my sights on, pull the trigger, and the gun was still doing that. So I was really happy, but I was slightly disappointed that, yeah, as a DMR variant, maybe if I could have stepped up to a .32, the BB flight would have been a bit more stable, because that is shooting a slightly higher FPS, so that also could have led to like an increase in the inconsistencies that I was seeing. So that's always something to factor in, but I thought rather than assuming that something is wrong with the gun, there's probably nothing wrong with the gun. It's more than likely it's the ammo. So next time I go out shooting, I'm going to be taking my regular preferred like G&G or Jeffs or something like that. I'll take them out, I'll put some 3.2s, and I bet you it's shooting absolutely great. I bet you it's shooting completely fine. But, so there we go. That was the update. So yeah, worked with the bios. Didn't really find the magnifier that useful, but it was mostly because of the situation that I was in. And what was important is like identifying that I was in that situation where it just wasn't going to be useful. And at that point, just trying to like reduce the weight off the gun. So that was and stop it from getting shot out and having to do like a warranty claim or something like that. So figured, yeah, might as well lighten it up. But yeah, excellent. Like really good gun, really good fun as well. So hopefully you guys have found this update interesting, useful. You'll notice the camera has moved even further. So yeah, I really need to get myself a new camera stand. So yeah, until the next time, guys, I will drop another update video for the submachine guns in the next couple of days. But until then, take care.